want to fundamentally change the system we are under, which any change that alters this paradigm would be revolutionary.
I'm sorry, but where on the Keir Starmer to MAGA spectrum do you exist?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole political spectrum at the moment. That's what exists.
It's just like, and by the end of this, they'll go, well, some of the MAGA cope will be exactly the same as the Keir Starmer cope, which is, well, some of them did go back. Yes, some of them will go back.
And it's you...
Again, to put the final kind of nail in this, even if we shut the borders, even if Keir Starmer comes out and says, not one more, not imagine the cheering, not a centimetre further, the amount of people who are coming to Britain next year will be zero. We will still have 40% of live births where one parent was born outside the UK because the amount of people have already come in.
Yeah.
The demographics time bomb has already been set. These people are already here. And the lag for the population change is probably about 25 years.
Well, I think it'd be worth stating, seeing as I think immigration is something that we talked about a lot more in the past than we has as of late, because really we've just been waiting for this to happen.
Yes, really. Again,
we are not people who are going to sit here and bemoan the demographics and pure numbers other than as a demonstrative thing, because we have always advocated the fact that if you are a racially conscious native Briton, you are already in the minority.
Yes.
And you should see yourself as such. You should strategize for that, not for pressuring the government into putting a new policy. And it begs the question, those people who put all that effort in, where do they go now? Do they just join the Labour Party? And I noticed a certain Mr. Laws made a joke about that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Now, is he joking? Is he being serious?
That is the sentiment change, though. Yeah. The sentiment is, Keir might do it. So maybe the thing is, people who are quote unquote soft immigration skeptics, the reform voter types, this is what causes those people to go home. But they are just not focusing on this, which is the fact that 40% of live births have a non-British, no, not even a non-British parent, a parent that was not born outside the UK. Forget ethnicity.
I mean, I find it almost too funny that we have these local elections where there's this sort of, oh, look, reform's putting us under loads of pressure. Oh no, we've got to do something. We've got to do something to bring all the people back in. The entire demographic, or the considerable majority of it that would have otherwise voted for reform in 2029 doesn't have to now, because they can just vote for Starmer.
This was already, well, I'd like to, chronology-wise, the reason we were able to project this in 2022, when reform was but a glimmer in Nigel Farage's eye, he was over in the US again, he was out of politics, we predicted this long before reform, because it was in the pipeline long before reform. This was happening no matter what else happened, because in a very real way, these things run on a script. We read ahead in the script. This was telegraphed because the ship of state turns slowly.
All right, I'll put it this way. Are they going to Enoch Powell, Rishi Sunak, or Kemi Badenoch, or Nadeem whoever is now the face of the Tory party, for as long as they need to be the smelly heeled character to Starmer's strong face?
You cannot overestimate how much impact it has that Keir Starmer is white. He knows it. Labour knows it. Everyone who lives in political reality knows that in-group preference within the British population still exists. He is the great white hope, and he has utterly defeated anybody who buys into electoral politics in any way. That includes Homeland. If you're in Homeland, well done. All you've done is bolster Keir Starmer and run around the edges and fail to gain a councillor.
I would actually say, in some respect, I think the wisest move you can make is if you're part of Homeland or some other group like this, and you haven't yet tarnished your public reputation by being associated with something that people don't like, go join to be part of your local Labour association. Why not? Honestly, why not? The only problem with that is, though, is that's the way they could argue that this would be disrupted in amongst Labour's, working government, is that hard right infiltrators are trying to take advantage of it, so we've got to be more careful and whatever else.
Well, there is no gameplay here.
It's always whatever.
The idea that you can affect this, the idea that you can play the electoral game in any way that benefits you is a lie. Just don't. Have you considered building something of permanence that is outside of this stupid game?
Well, there's that one too.
Have you considered the fact that really in the political realm, in totalizing managerial politics, if you are engaging in the process, you've already lost. That is the thing that we try and instill in people, that look, if you are trying to earnestly engage in politics, you have already lost, because the things are decided many years in advance. The political trajectory is set, and you are simply trying to improvise over a set amount of political background music. What you are doing is trying to dance to a different beat. It's like being in a club and there's something on, you're trying to dance to a different song.
Yeah, you're trying to guess the tune that the DJ's mixing whilst he's already got it set up in his head. It's like it's already there. It's already set into pace and rhythm. It's going to happen. You just
over political events is an illusion. Unless you are directly involved in governing Britain and you wield power, you do not affect the politics of this country, no matter what you post on the internet, no matter what you put in the ballot box, no matter what you contribute to the comment section, no matter what you think, you say, or you do. You have no effect. What can you do? People say, oh, you're black pill. Why tell people they can do... Well, it's the truth.
Because if you don't...
You can do nothing about this.
I would go one further. I would say, as a matter of fact, I find it deeply offensive when someone, who, let's be honest, their job is a fancier version of what we do, which is sit in front of a computer and tell you what they think about the world, turns around and sort of advocates to their audience that you can't give up because you've got to be part of the change.
And
you're being asked to be part of a colour revolution that you've got no say in and isn't going to go anywhere anyway. I think that's honestly one of the most insulting and evil things people could run around doing. Is putting the moral blame for the politics that happen in a nation upon the populace.
But again, we do not buy into the populist delusion. We do not believe the mass is in charge. And if the mass is not in charge, well, the mass is largely blameless. The mass will do what the mass does. We ended our last stream on this note, but I'm going to try and drive it into people that you are not responsible for what is going on in this country. And if you are, maybe you should do something about it, eh?
And I think if you are someone who is responsible, you would already know this.
Yes. It is a trick, an illusion. It is a protagonist syndrome. You do not affect the political trajectory of Britain. And thinking you do is magical thinking. I cannot straightly expunge from your mind the idea that you have any impact on this, because you don't.
Do yourself the benefit. Genuinely, do yourself the benefit and realise that you actually don't have to care about what they do. Because in the grand scheme of things, you are there to influence your life.
Yes. Again, we seem to end our streams now by the invocation of affect what you can affect. Go out into your own town, be good to your own family, be good to your own friends. Do not subsume yourself in these national level debates that are fugazis. You can't actually do anything about Keir Starmer, least of all vote.
Yeah.
He defeated the right because they are playing a game that already has a set conclusion.
A game that finished years ago.
They are improvising along to a scripted TV show. And it really is like a child who thinks that they can control what's on the television. You can't. These events are happening to you. You are subjected to power because power acts top down. Keep calm. Remember your training. Power actuates from the top. Therefore, blame is situated at the top. But so many people can't mentally shape rotate that. They can't do the political maths to realize that you can't shout at the mass for not rising up because they are not in power because of elite theory. And it shows that most people within their own internal molds of how the world works cannot apply elite theory intuitively. They cannot do the extrapolation outwards, and they cannot work out that the population of Britain is a passenger to power, because that's how organization in the division of labor works. But I don't think we have much else to add to that, really.